Welcome to my learning task 3. My name is Jason Velo. This is Sound Escape. Anyway. Sound has a profound impact on how we experience the world. This can be especially noticed in how we respond to scenes in a movie. Try to imagine some of your favorite scenes without the use of music or sound effects. The goal of this experiment will be to change how we feel about a visual scene by altering the sounds that we are hearing in the background. This task is designed for grade 12 music class. Create, analyze, and compare 10 self-made sounds and up to 4 provided samples that will be used to make a soundtrack for the video clips provided. You will be examining waveform, shape, frequency, amplitude, and pitch. You will synthesize and alter these sounds to make adjustments that evoke different emotional responses. This project covers several areas of programs of study. At General Music 10-20-30 Level 1, the science of sound, we talk about pitch, frequency, loudness, amplitude, timbre, and how all of these factors relate to each other. Level 2 talks about synthesis, so understanding high pass, low pass, and band pass, we're going to affect timbre and combine sounds together to come up with new sounds. At Level 3, we get into related computer programs. We're going to use GarageBand to sequence sounds together, use it to edit the sounds themselves, and kind of get organized and create sound libraries. Marie-Claire, you had mentioned it might be interesting to bring in a Physics 20 class to discuss with the music class some of these principles around sound waves and how they're used sort of on a physics level, how they look at it on a chart and a graph. So this is where it touches on in physics. I found this interesting going back as far as grade 3 science on their hearing and sound unit, just how in-depth they get at making sounds and how the sounds hit our ears and wavelengths. It would be nice maybe to have some activities and games and refresh on some of those concepts. Since we'll be using a spreadsheet in analyzing this data, I've also included some mathematics from grade 4, another sort of unit we could touch on, but it really gets into how to problem solve and look at ranges of data. Here would be an extra level of questioning around making sounds after they record their sound. What are the differences that they notice? This could be questions around the qualities of sounds that they're making, the item that they're using to hit something or pluck something. Once we bring sounds into GarageBand, we'll be asking questions about what they observe about the shapes of the sound waves themselves. There's an extra spot in our spreadsheet that talks about the effect. So what is going on with your emotions? What are some textures and some observations you can make about how you're feeling from what you're listening to? Okay, let's get into a demonstration. First of all, we're going to record some sounds. We'll start off by making a sound that you have to pluck something like a string or an elastic band. Okay, this is the ruler one. It's got some high-end that we can scoop out or enhance. It's also got a thudding. I'll do one more. We'll take the best one. Now we'll strike some pots and pans. This one will also have an attack sound that we can scoop out. Now we'll make a sound with air. Now we'll produce a sound with something electric. Now let's import these sounds into GarageBand and take a look. Okay, so here we are in GarageBand, and we have brought all of our samples in. Now, maybe students used their cell phones, maybe they used field recorders, maybe they plugged a microphone right into an audio card that was plugged into GarageBand. It doesn't matter, and I think there's a little bit of a tutorial that needs to be done here on how to bring these samples in, how to organize them. But there they are, all on this nice timeline here, all of the samples that I recorded in my own home, and then down here at the bottom I've added some more from the sound library over here. There's some fantastic sounds in GarageBand. GarageBand is free if you have a Macintosh computer, so that's why I think this would be a great tool for this assignment. So there it is, importing the sounds. Now it's time to zoom in on these samples and collect some data. Okay, back in GarageBand, we're going to look at these samples. I've loaded up the first one here. It's the higher pitch of our bottle. I've clicked on the headphone symbol. That means that it is soloed out, so we're only going to listen to one sample at a time. And this orange range here means that it's going to loop so that we can constantly hear this pitch and analyze it. So there it is. I'm double-clicking the track. It's bringing up some options down here, and we're actually going to take a look and see what this thing looks like. So in this graph over here, we have decibels. So, you know, a lesson on decibels. And then we've got our frequencies. The lowest that the human ear can hear is 20 hertz. The highest is 20,000 hertz. So this bottle is producing a sound within this range. Now, it's definitely finding itself a pitch. I'm going to pause that frequency and stop the sound just for a second. So this is a snapshot of this wave, of this sound. And it looks like it's a D sharp or an E flat 3 on a keyboard, but more specifically, it's 155 hertz is the pitch that we're hearing right there. But if we look down here, I'm going to magnify this quite a bit, both ways on the Y and the X axis. And we're going to kind of hone in. I'm going to say, we'll say maybe this thing starts producing a sound. I'm going to say at 50, just to make this, just to kind of round this up and make this a little bit easier. And I'm going to say around, well, 1822 sounds about right for the high end. So I'm going to go over to our fancy spreadsheet that we made here. Okay, so this is where we're going to put data in about our frequencies, and we're going to refer to a cheat sheet which has frequency, what it's kind of called in music, basically in mixing, the range that it sits between for that particular frequency, okay, and then the characteristics that are starting to develop as we listen to these tones. And this is going to come in handy when we start to put these tones on top of a movie. But essentially, if I go back to here and I see that it starts at a low 50 and it ends at about a 1820, low 50 and 1820. I'm going to say down here there's a 50, and then I'm going to see where 1820 lies. 1820 lies in middle mids, okay, 1820 hertz. So I'm going to put that in here, middle hertz, 1820. Okay, so we have a low tone, we've got a high tone. This is the range of frequency. We hear it down at about a 50 hertz, and we hear it high up into the 1820 hertz up there. But there's also something kind of spectacular happening here to give us that tone, and that tone is sitting at around 155. So I'm going to put this information in here, and 155 is within this bass range here, okay? So it's not sub-bass, but it's definitely in the bass range. So I'm going to put 155 in here, just as kind of something that we know that we're hearing. That's the tone we're hearing. Okay, so this spreadsheet over here, there's our bottle high. It's got a draw down sort of option here for what family it lies in. It's definitely an air family, and this kind of helps also because air might give us some higher kind of sounds. Struck instruments can kind of give us that nasally mids in here, and this is all a nice big lesson that can sort of be unraveled. I'm not going to get into too much detail here. There's a range here. Okay, so I've got a nice chart. This is sort of the math side of things, so they can sort of start to read these things on the chart on what maybe hangs out in the low end, what's in the mid, what's in the higher range of things. And then we get into descriptions. So a bottle high tone for me is a bit mellow, you know, contemplative, you know, it's sort of calm. There's some sort of meditation. sort of sound going on there. And I think that this is kind of interesting that we can start to, should have formatted this. Okay, so they can start to sort of paint the scenery here with what they're hearing and what this sort of makes them feel like. And then we're going to sort of put these in groups together and see what that sounds like and feels like. And we're going to make some alterations back in GarageBand to see what's actually going to produce maybe more of a shrill sound. And let's go back and do that right now. So there we are. There is our basic frequency discussion around a singular tone. I'm going to press that again. It's interesting too because you can hear the high ends and the low ends of my room. So you can hear the furnace. You can hear all kinds of crazy things. And that can be enhanced by actually going to the frequency. So let's actually boost. Nice distortion. Beautiful. So we can boost frequencies. Remember there's that other one here. So this is a way that a student can sit and hack these frequencies and try and figure out, there's the octave. Okay? So there's a nice octave right there. Or we can scoop it out completely. So these are some manipulations, some hacks, some innovative sort of tweaks that they can sort of make on frequencies within this one analyzing function. And then there's also this wave folder, which is really great. So there's our wave, and it is a very smooth wave. It's not a jagged wave. Actually, it's not folder that I want. It's frequency shift. Okay, so that's not even on yet. So that is our wave file. And if I shift some things around, there's the octave, and there's some nasty stuff I can throw in there. So making it a saw wave. So here's some more physics. So the more that they manipulate these things, the more they can start to observe the physics behind sound waves and what they're doing and how they're manipulating that, and how this kind of manipulation can add to their description of the sounds that they're hearing and the emotions that it's sort of bringing out. Now, when I added that saw wave file, it starts to bring a little more anxiety. So maybe the scene that we'll bring in later in this demonstration is to evoke some kind of, maybe it's a horror film or something, or maybe there's something spooky or some anticipation, or somebody's going to get in trouble. So you can manipulate all of these frequencies. But for now, we're collecting all of this data, and I'm going to go through and collect a bunch of this, and then we're going to make this frequency range and talk more. Okay, let's put all of these sounds together and see if we can create something magical on top of a 30-second video clip. Okay, I'm going to go through this as efficiently as I can. This movie is called Across the Land. It's a 30-second clip. It was filmed by a friend of mine who lives in Edmonton. There's also music that was put on top of it by another friend of mine. We're going to listen to that music on this 30-second clip and get an idea of how the music interprets the film. Kind of nice, acoustic guitar, some strings in the back maybe. It's friendly. It's kind of movie trailer-ish. Some cellos. Okay, creepy ceiling, but still pretty. Okay, fine. That's an interesting approach. We're going to mute the audio. Now, this is where this is a highly, highly effective experience, I think, for young people to see how this can be dissected. Here it is with just our bottles in the background. A little more mysterious. Something's going on here. Okay, now let's go back and we're going to add the two pots. We're going to scatter them out just a little bit, okay? So this might be, I don't know what's going on in here. The viewer has to sort of, maybe this is suspense. Definitely some dissonance. Okay, so maybe what we want to do now, I'll just loop that one pot hit. And let's bring up our frequency shifter. Where are you, frequency shifter? There you are. All right, I'm just gonna... What if we wanted a lower sample? Maybe this is still... We're making it mysterious. Maybe we make it... Okay. Definitely creepier. So let's press stop. We're getting a little bit more suspenseful. We're getting a little bit more into a mysterious sort of sound. So let's listen to it. Okay. So by manipulating the data, the parameters of this one sample, we made it more of a saw wave. We shifted down to 692 hertz. So if they went back to their cheat sheet, they can see, 600. Okay, so harshness. Now they're kind of in a harsh zone. So we've changed this. This movie is now becoming a little bit more of a mystery. So maybe we'll add some wind. And maybe we'll add some steam after as well. So now the wind is in. So let's listen to it. Excellent. Now let's look at the wind and let's see if we can't add some higher frequencies and give it more of a crisp. If we go to our cheat sheet, they can see, there's some harshness and some sibilance up in the high end there. So we'll double click there. We'll bring in the channel EQ. We'll listen to it. Give it a boost. Turn on the analyzer. Oh. So at 1K, 1000 hertz, we boosted that 24 decibels. And now we've definitely got some isolation, some loneliness going on here. Yes. Incredible. So, as you can see, there are a million different things that a student can change and tweak and hack and make wonderful and make ugly and go extreme to one end and extreme to the other. And I think part of this experiment too is you would play this clip in front of your family, a group of friends, online of course, since we're all locked up. And get responses, get them to write, I felt at this time during the clip at 20 seconds I started to get chills. Okay, so chills. Maybe the pitch of the second pot goes higher. Maybe we start to try and play on chills. I want to bring in steam and just see what that does. Ooh. So you can hear a repeated pattern of that electric sound of the motor of the steam on the little cappuccino maker. Clunk, clunk, clunk. So now we have a beat that's not generated by a human. Interesting. What can we do to the steam? Let's see here. Frequency shift. Well, actually, and maybe we could get into some reverb. Platinum reverb. Let's make it really wet. Yeah, so when I press stop, the wetness of this reverb has a trail on it, little tail on it, sorry. So let's go back to this. Excellent. Maybe at the ceiling right at the ceiling shot, we should add something. Blender? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So let's get rid of the movie for a second. I'm going to bring in the blender, but not until the movie, or until the ceiling shot right there. And we'll just see how creepy that gets. So now all of a sudden you've got this, your emotions, your imagination is playing with you. Oh, so now you're inside with whoever else is inside of this house. What can we do to this blender to make it really weird? I'm going to go back and we'll play around with the frequencies. I'm just going to put a loop on this part just to see. Oh my gosh, so we could emulate screaming. Oh, that's awful. Just awful. Check it out. So yeah, that's that, and this is what it was. So there is an experiment. I didn't get into a whole lot of what students could do, but you can see that it's endless, and with some direction, referring to their sheet. I did a little more work on this, referring to their ranges, finding out what is shrill, what's mids, what's nasally, what's low bottom end, and then of course going through their descriptions. This could be, I think, a really interesting experiment.